Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Welcome back. And we are still on to Ramadan diets. That was the documentary as a continuation from the one we showed yesterday. And then now we are in the segment living in the month of Ramadan. The theme of living in the month of Ramadan this year has been towards righteousness. And today we are going to be talking about al-muraqabah as a means of achieving righteousness, which it has been loosely translated to God consciousness as a means of achieving righteousness. And I have with me in the studio this morning Ustaz Harun Muhammad Uthani. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Today is the 25th of Ramadan. And Ramadan has been, Allah has told us in the Quran that the main essence of the fast is la'allakum tattaqun, which has been described as self-restraint and even God consciousness, depending on the translation that we use. But I want us to look at, like I introduced, the concept of al-muraqabah. How does that push us towards attaining righteousness? First, what it is, and then how does it push us?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasul Kareem. The concept of God consciousness in Islam is known in Arabic terminology as muraqabah. Muraqabah. Sometimes if you want to make a broad pronunciation of it, you say muraqabatullah, to be God conscious. Muraqabatullah, to be God conscious, to be God aware that you have it in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is oversees all affair, is omnipresent, and then he watches you and is with you. That particular noun at its root from raqaba, yuraqibu, muraqaba, which simply translates to be watchful. And then in the Quran we have raqib. Raqib is the dual of the noun, somebody who oversees. Sometimes in English we call him monitor, somebody who monitors you. He is always with you, making sure that you follow the rules. Well, in the usage, the Islamic usage, it's not as if Allah monitors you, making sure you follow the rules. No, Allah monitors whatever you do, is ever with you.
He has given us free will.
Free will to do whatever we like.
But the monitor is ever watchful of everything that we do.
Exactly. In the Quran, precisely Surah Al-Mujadala, Allah says, "Ma yakunu min najwa thalathatin illa huwa rabi'uhum." A group of people will not be three, except that Allah is the fourth person. Wala khamsatin illa huwa sadisuhum. There won't be five or three, except that Allah is the sixth person. Wala akthar min dhalika wala adna. Wala adna min dhalika wala akthar. There won't be lesser than three, that is either there are two or one, except that Allah is the second or the third person. Wala akthar, there won't be more than six or more than five, except that Allah is the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, the tenth, and then to infinity. So whatever number you find yourself, you should know that Allah is the next number to that group. And that was why scholars of the first generation and our Sahaba, so they used to follow this muraqabah to a practical and logical conclusion, and then they don't see it just as a spiritual thing alone. They related with muraqabah as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is present in body that they can perceive and see. Let me give you a very good example of how they understood muraqabah. There was a case of a lad, and then he was sitting down. While he was sitting down away from the rest of his colleagues, they were playing, moving around. So he was approached by an elderly person. Said, what happens to you, or what is with you, oh boy? Why are you not with the rest of your colleagues? And he said, why are you not with the rest of your colleagues? Why are you sitting alone? So he used that adverb. Why are you sitting alone, to qualify? And he replied, said, Ma jalastu bi wahdi, I am not sitting alone. Wallahu ma'i, Allah is with me. To the extent that, they took muraqabah from their private life even to their public life. He was on the field. And then that is to show that maybe he was playing, he was enjoying himself with the rest of his colleagues. Yet he had it in mind that, no, I'm not just sitting down here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my creator, is with me. So that is the meaning of muraqabah. Having at the back of our mind that whatever we do, whatever we are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. And there are so many verses of the Quran to prove that. I've just recited one. In another one in Surah Al-Baqarah said, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوا. Be sure, be aware, take into cognizance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what goes on in your mind. It's not as if he's with you in body
only outside
alone, even inside. Allah knows what goes on in your mind. وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. What you have in the bosom, the hidden part of your body, your heart, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it. He knows it. فَاحْذَرُوا. As a result of that, if you want to pronounce a statement, as a result of that, if you want to say anything, as a result of that, if you want to plot or plan anything, then you should be aware that God is there. So you should be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always with you. So these are some of the things we need to know when we talk about muraqabah. And once we have that awareness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us, He follows us wherever we go. In fact, like somebody will say, He was there or is there at the end of your destination, and is also at the beginning of your destination, and He follows you to your destination. So
then, at the beginning of your journey, through your journey, and it's even at the end.
At the end of the journey.
Allah.
So with that, you will always plan along with that.
Now we have listened to the stories of the Sahaba, putting al-muraqabah into their practical lives. But I'm not sure if we Muslims today have that realization or practice al-muraqabah, because I believe if we do, there are a lot of things that probably we won't be doing. So what are those means of being able to do al-muraqabah? Because we know that there are some things that we do in our private lives, as if people were to be there to see us, we wouldn't go into them. So how can we imbibe al-muraqabah into our private lives?
There are so many things we have to know in Islam in order to be able to make use of muraqabah in our life. One of it is to believe in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to believe in His existence, to always have at the back of our mind that He is omnipresent. He is not just existing. He knows everything, the beginning and then the middle and the end. Like Allah says, "Ala ya'lam man khalaq wa huwa al-latiful khabir." Will it be surprising that the Creator knows or does not know what He created? It will be surprising. So that is why it is very unreasonable for you to think that Allah does not know anything. Ala ya'lam man khalaq. Allah knows what He created. Wa huwa al-latiful khabir. So the meaning of that verse, that Allah knows what He created, shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever aware of our deeds. The second thing that will always make it easy for you to use muraqabah is al-iman bil yawm al-akhir aw bil ba'th أو بيوم القيامة. They believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us on a day, and that day is the day of judgment. That day is the day of resurrection. That day is the day of standing. That day is the last day. So that day, that belief in the day of birth, last day, will always bring to our mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, because there is no essence of the day of the last day if Allah exists and is not aware of our deeds. Because man on the day of judgment will always want to lie, and in it, like Allah says in Surah Al-Qiyamah, that badil insanu ala nafsihi basira walau alqa ma'adhira. Man will always want to tender excuses. He will always want to render excuses, saying that, yeah, because of so and so, this is so and that is not. But because of the fact that the record is made clear before him, badil insanu ala nafsihi basira, so he cannot deny the fact. He cannot say, I am not the person. And these evidences are not just audiovisual alone. They are evidences coming from its organ. يَوْمَ تَشْهَدُ عَلَيْهِمْ أَرْجُلُهُمْ وَأَلْسِنَتُهُمْ. That day, the tongue, the legs, the parts, and every other aspect of the body will testify against man. And then to the extent that man will say, Lima sha'idtum alayna, my organs, why are you a witness against me? Why? Qalu, and those organs will reply at once, Antaqanallahu alladhi antaqa kulla shay. You better forget about us today, because you did when you were living. You did it. Remember us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has enabled your mouth to talk when you were living, the same Allah has enabled us. He has given us the ability to talk today. Then Allah says, وَمَا كُنْتُمْ, you did not ever think, أَن تَشْهَدَ عَلَيْكُمْ أَلْسِنَتُكُمْ أَرْجُلُكُمْ, you never thought of the fact that your organs will testify against you. You never thought of that. So as a result of that, if one believes on the day of judgment, and then like Allah says, Wallahu sarihul hisab, Allah is very swift in reckoning or in taking our deeds to account. Then when you know all this, then you will remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever you do, you will have it at the back of your mind that there will be a day you will stand before Allah and you render that account. Let's check this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It says, La tazalu qadama buna adama yawm al-qiyamah. Man will stand before Allah on the day of judgment, and he will not be able to shift his position. He will not be able to take a step, except that atta use Allah and arba'a, except he provide answer to 4 things. And one of it is that one, Allah will ask him with regards to his life, wa an hayatihi kaifa afna, how he spent his life. So you are going to give accounts of the beginning of life, of your life, the beginning of your consciousness of being human, to the end of your consciousness. You will give an account of that. Wa ammalihi, you will also give account of his wealth, and that is the most dangerous aspect of it, because at that time, although it's a part of a whole, hayat is life. In that your life, you have your wealth. So when you are giving accounts of your life, then you also give accounts, separate accounts of your income, of your wealth.
How did
and it
you
is not
acquire
just
it?
about your wealth, it is about iktisabul mal, how you acquire the wealth, wa infaqihi, and how you spend it. So those are two big things to do. If the iktisab, the earning is halal, and then the spending is haram, you are in trouble. If the iktisab, if the earnings is haram and the spending is halal, you are in trouble. So that is why stealing money, hoarding other people's property, or usurping it, or annexing it,
and now claiming that you spent it in the path of Allah.
At the end of the day, you now use it to build house,
or build a mosque,
to build mosques, to provide pipe bomb water for people, medical infrastructure that will be free. Yes, they are good deeds. No, yet you are still going to give account of how you came about those words. So when you have the consciousness, this type of consciousness, then it will definitely lead you to moral cover, that Allah watches over you, Allah sees you. And this is why Ramadan is very unique. No matter what is required in your salat is moral cover. What is required in your life is moral cover. But we exercise that muraqabah only to a very large extent in Ramadan, in fast. But in Salat we don't. That's why Allah says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Who will be tied those who observe their Salat in such a way that they are unmindful of that observation. Scholars agree that the meaning of sahun could be translated into two. One is that you are unmindful of the salat in such a way that you don't observe it to time. You observe it at your own time. You are less conscious about the time of the salat, despite the fact that Allah says, "Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta." Excuse me, that the salat is not just only compulsory, but with time on the believers. With time, it's not just compulsory for you to observe it, but you must observe it to time. Despite that verse, those who are not God conscious will not observe their salat to time. So to observe salat to time is part of moral cover, to be conscious of Allah. The second aspect of that meaning of sa'un, those who are mindful of their prayer, are those who observe the salat to time, but when they are observing the salah, their minds are far away. They don't have their mind in the salat. Their mind is elsewhere. That was the time they would think about their money, the time they think about their business, the time they think about frivolities. So they are in trouble, and that is even more dangerous than the first one, because in Surah An-Nisa, Allah used that to describe the attitude of the hypocrite, whom Allah said, innal munafiqina fi darkil asfali minan nar falan tajid lahum nasira. Allah says the hypocrite will be at the lowest ebb of the fire, and you will never see anybody assisting them. So if this is what will be the punishment of the munafiqin, what happened to them? Because alladhina, these are the people, wa idha qamu ila salata qamu kusala, whenever they stand up to observe salat, they stand sluggishly. Yura'una an-nasa, only to show off. Wala yadhkuruna Allah illa qalila, and during the time of that salat they do not remember Allah except for a very short time. So Allah used that to describe the munafiqin. So sahun could have the two meaning, that is to be unmindful of one salat is as dangerous as not observing the salat at all. That's why the verse was introduced with fawailun lil musallin, who will be tied those who are mindful of their prayer. So to be mindful of one's prayer is part of muraqabah. So if that is required in salat, and this is our attitude of observing the salat, what about the fast? So to a larger extent we use muraqabah in fast as well. Because one, physically you don't eat, physically you don't drink, and physically you don't cohabit. You may do some other things. So, and that's why we said to a large extent. So, and which is not part of the salat. To a large extent, our mind is not in salat. There is no muraqabah to a large extent. But in Ramadan or fast, to a large extent, we observe muraqabah.
And so, it is what to prevent some people from, even if they are tired, even if they are hungry and they are at home, it is because of al-muraqabah that they will not eat.
But nobody will follow you to the corner of your room. Nobody will say, okay, you've done this, you've done that. It's only your awareness that this is the way Allah wants you to live your life during the month of Ramadan, or to fast. And that's why Allah says, as-sawmu Ramadan or fast is for me. There is no way you would observe it that you will not at the beginning observe muraqabah to 70 to 80%. So wa ana ajizi bihi, and as a result of that, I am going to reward any fasting person or Muslim. Then he then concluded by saying that reward belongs to him. So it is an ibadah between the observant or the devotee and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no intermediary. So, and the reason why that is given that privilege, it is because of muraqabah. Because so the awareness of God we observing it, and that is the only ibadah that is greater than the rest in terms of muraqabah. Zakat, you can bring in an act of show off, an element of show off could be related to the payment of zakat. Hajj, an element of show off could be there, but for fast, to a very large extent, you can bring in muraqabah. So muraqabah is required in order to be righteous, in order to be good, in order to be God conscious.
That's what was even going to lead me to my next question. That what are the rewards of al-muraqabah, of observing? I know some of them we have been hearing, but what are those rewards that we can say of al-muraqabah when a person observes muraqabah in his act of ibadah?
If I want to ask that question, I want to answer that question, I will start by giving an example of the way the Salaf, the righteous generation, taught their children, and you will see the benefit of muraqabah. We have a case of a righteous man who told his children that the three of them should take a bird each and then slaughter it where nobody can see them. So he gave them three different class of birds. Let's say, for example, one of them was given a chicken, fowl, the domestic one, and then the other one was given an eagle or whatever. The last one was given a dog, and then they went about, and then they came back with the chicken, the bird slaughtered. So they were waiting for the youngest one, and then he came back late and with the birds alive. And then they were making jest of him, but the father said we should slaughter it. Okay, you the first child, what happened? He said, you told us to slaughter it where nobody could see us. He said yes. So what I did was that I dived into the water, and I was at the lowest part of the water, and then I slaughtered it there. And I was very sure that nobody was there with me. I was the only one that was there. The second one said, I climbed the top of the tree when I saw that my elder brother was in the water. So I climbed the top of the tree, and I was very sure that nobody saw me when I was doing that. Okay, you the youngest one, what happened? Why didn't you slaughter yours? He said, but you just said that we should slaughter it where nobody could see. I said yes. So when I saw my eldest one diving into the sea, into the water, and then I wanted to join him, but I remember that Allah is there with me. The other one climbed on top of the tree. Then I said, okay, God is also there. I went into the room, closed the door, and then God was there with me. I was under the bed. Wherever I found myself, I found that God is always with me. So, and the instruction is for me to slaughter the bird where nobody could see me. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could see me wherever I am, then I have to bring it back alive. And the father said, yes, you are the only one that understood the message. The message is that wherever you are, God is with you. So you can see, if that child at that age could bring back the chicken or the bird unslaughtered, basically because of the fact that he thought or he believed that God is with him, what do you think the child will do when he grows up and he is put in charge of the affairs of men? He will never cheat them because they were not there. He will never, because what the cheats do, or yes, what they do is they will cheat you behind you, and then they will come out to say that they didn't
cheat. Yes, that brings to mind even the story that happened in the time of Umar Odiala and of the milkmaid, the lady that her mother was asking her to add some water into the milk.
Yes, that's another good case. Another good case of Muraqaba, and when her mother persuaded her that no, you have to do it. You have to mix water with the milk. And what they were supposed to do is to produce the milk pure. So he said no. She said no, I won't. He said, why wouldn't you? He said, because the instruction given to us by our leader, the Amir, is that we should not mix water with milk. He said, but where is the Khalifa around now? This is our house. He said, I don't even need to wait for him. Khalifa's God, Khalifa's Allah, Khalifa's creator is here. So if he is not here, then his creator is here. So we don't need to be afraid of him. We have to be conscious of his creator, our creator. And unknowingly to the mother, Khalifa was there. Because he eavesdropped to their discussion. So that shows that as far as Islam is concerned, the benefit of Muraqaba is cannot be overemphasized. You know, because of the fact that it has an internal exercise, belief, but the outward, the public advantage could be seen. We can use it in public offices, just like the Ramadan fast we said now, and we can use it while we are dealing with people between husband and wife. The existence of Muraqaba could bring about love, it could bring about sincerity, it could bring about peace and harmony at home. That's the existence of Muraqaba. I don't need to be afraid. Because
we treat each other with mutual respect, observe each other's duties, because we know
I don't
Allah.
Need to ask you question unnecessarily, like husband and wife do. You see the wife monitoring the husband whenever he receive a call, and then whenever he goes into the bathroom, she's like trying to flip over the pages of the phone, particularly the smartphone of now. Papa, let me see the last message he had, the last call he received. Who is this, Mrs. Bolu? Who is this? We're always like that, at each other's throats. The same thing the husband would do to the wives whenever she sleeps, and then he take hold of the phone. And that is why even some husbands will pass toward their phone, their smartphone, because they don't want their wife to have access to it. But if Muraqaba is there, I don't need to pass. Why should I? Take it. If I speak with any woman behind you, it's not because something is happening. And if something will happen, you will know. I will tell you. I want to get another wife, not because I don't like you, not because I hate you, not because I want to fornicate, because I think I have the means, the wherewithal, and then I can do it. So it could help between husband and wife. Yes. The same thing with the parents and the children. Muraqaba, just like the example that man gave among his 3 children. Muraqaba could be used. You can see the advantage of Muraqaba, the parents and the children. Because the children will never steal. Because when you steal, you will do it behind the owner.
Definitely.
So they won't do that. Allah is with you. Allah oversees you. Allah will always put you to account. Once they have that at the back of their mind, they won't do the wrong thing. And if they do and they want to lie, say, you must not lie, because Allah sees you. They will say the truth.
What about employer and employee situation?
The same thing, leaders and the led. Leaders and the led. So the boss and then the followers. So when you put Muraqaba into use, you see the benefit, the advantage. The leaders does not need, or the boss or the employer does not or do not need to be there while their employees are at work. So whenever it comes, no, we are not working for him, we are working for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You remember the case of Khalid ibn Walid when he was deposed of leadership during the battle. He was at the battle and he was given the message. And the most unfortunate thing about that was that the person who brought the message, because it was a written message from the Khalifa, from Umar, the person who brought the message was supposed to take over from him, and unknowingly to the carrier of the message. He only took the message from Umar, and then he was to deliver it to Khalid ibn Walid. So he delivered the message without going through the pages of the paper of the letter. And when Khalid read, he said, okay, let me hand you over the
affairs of the
of leadership to you. He said, why? He said that was what was. And then at the end of the day, when the carrier of the message became the leader, Khalid ibn Walid, who was his leader before, was still contributing more than the way he was
contributing to the
was
society.
a
did not
follower.
Allah.
And then somebody asked him, why are you doing this? He said, am I working for Khalifa or for Allah? So that is the situation of the benefit of muraqabah. So it could be used even materially, not spiritually now. We could use muraqabah materially, and that is why muraqabah will lead to nothing except righteousness. God consciousness will lead to nothing except taqwa, except piety, and with that, the society will move forward. So the situation of Nigeria today, the situation of the world today, we need muraqabah. And how do we do that? By inculcating the knowledge, the teachings of the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and which is nothing but the truth, which is nothing but the truth. So if anybody says, no, I don't believe in God, then that person should be examined. That person should be.
But even in societies where people say they don't believe in God, a lot of them even still believe in accountability. That for whatever you are doing, you must be accountable, and it's still the same as, you know, because you know that.
Yes, but the only difference is that if you believe you are accountable to man, then there is a limit.
Definitely, there's
a
limit to what it is. Only
what you can do.
Yes,
so,
it's only what maybe that man can prove that you'll be able to be accountable.
And then you can also circumvent man's monitoring.
Oh sure.
You can. It is just about this way. It depends on how smart you are.
That's true.
You can tell them, I meant to do B when I did A because of so and so. But the person who knows that you meant to do A when you did B is there, and is going to take you to account. So talking about God consciousness and man's accountability, those are two different things.
But I think at this point the lines are going to be open. The number will be on your screen, and you have the opportunity to call in, to make your contributions, to ask questions. And we are still talking about al-muraqabah as a means of attaining righteousness. Yes, Ustaz, we have transited al-muraqabah to mean God consciousness. I know it's a little bit, I don't want to say, not confusing, but how is it similar to taqwa, or is it different, or are we saying the same thing?
Taqwa is righteousness.
Okay.
So muraqabah is awareness. So there are two different things.
Awareness that Allah is our Rakib is.
Yes, you can use one to achieve the other. So you can use muraqabah to achieve taqwa. That is the essence. And that is why in the Quran Allah says la'allakum tattaqun. The reason why I ask you to fast is for you to be righteous. And when you look at fast is an embodiment of muraqabah. So 70 to 80% of fast is muraqabah. So we are going to use muraqabah to achieve taqwa. That is the essence of muraqabah. Because when you have at the back of your mind that God exists and He is with you, wherever you go, He monitors you. He is not even monitoring you alone. He will take you to account
for it.
So those three steps is what is known as muraqabah: the existence of God, the monitoring of God, and the reckoning. He exists, He monitors, and He puts you into account. So whatever you do, you will always be conscious of that. And that's the meaning of that verse. وَعْلَمُ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوا. Be conscious, be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you do,
even in your own souls.
And then you have to be conscious of that. Fahdharu, be conscious of that. Be conscious of that. So that is the meaning of muraqabah in essence.
Now,
we can
like
use
I
that
said,
to achieve righteousness.
Alhamdulillah. Like I said, the phone lines are open. The number to call is 080-3329-7441. 080-3329-7441. We are still discussing al-muraqabah, God consciousness, as a means of attaining righteousness. Al-muraqabah leads us to taqwa, which is righteousness. And then, like Ustaz has been emphasizing, one of the acts of ibadah which most of us simply observe muraqabah the most is fasting, just like we do in the month of Ramadan. So that leads me to my next question. Now that we have been able to, a lot of people, like you said, are able to observe al-muraqabah in fasting. I know we have mentioned parts of it, but other acts of ibadah, how can we then translate how, the amount of muraqabah? Because in fasting, a lot of people would not still go to the corner of their room and eat because they know Allah, they will know, this is fasting. But for some other acts of ibadah, you might just go to sleep without observing Aisha. You might go to Hajj and say, well, I'm not going to all these ones that not perform all the acts properly. But how can we translate what we have been learning in fasting and be observing? How can we infuse it into other acts of ibadah? First, I want you to talk about the first pillar, which is belief in Allah. How can we put al-muraqabah into that?
The belief in Allah is not just believe in Allah. What do you believe in Him? If you believe in Him, what do you believe in Allah? You believe in the fact that He exists, and then He will be in existence throughout. He was in existence before your creation.
No.
Then He created you. He is in charge of giving you life.
Okay, I think we have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I think that it seems that call. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. I think we lost that call.
What you believe in Him matters.
Matters.
So if you believe that He created you and then He hands off, that's a belief. It's as good as not believing in Him. But if you believe in Him that He created you, He's your sustainer, the giver of life, the taker of life, then that's a sort of belief. If you also believe that He monitors your affair, He knows everything you do, that's another level. And the last one is He is going to put you to account. He is going to reckon with your deeds. Then that is the climax of the belief which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended with us. So at that level, then we have already acquired the level of muraqabah. So, and that will affect, that your iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will affect positively your art of ibadat, not just the Ramadan. And that is why anybody who to that extent believe in Allah, his own fast will be highly rewarded than the rest, because his fast is not just abstaining from eating, drinking and sexual cohabitation. His fast is such that all his organs are involved in fasting. He will never listen to vulgar talks. You will never indulge in it. You will never see him using his hands doing the wrong thing. Neither will he is going to make use of his leg in a bad thing. I mean, moving towards or going to attending what is haram. You will never see him, even at the time of taking the iftar, eating haram. You will never. These are some of the reflections. So, and this type of fast is known as sawmul khususul khusus. The fast, a special fast, different from the general fast, because he involved all his organs and not just the mouth and the private parts. He involves all his organs in fasting. So the same thing, it will affect his Hajj. When he goes to Hajj, he asks that question: who am I performing this right for? Is it for myself? Yes, for myself, but as instructed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For myself, because I'm going to hand the reward. And as instructed by Allah, yes, if I wanted to be rewarded, if I want the reward of Allah, I have to follow his instruction. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, Khuzu anni manasikakum. All your acts of ibadah, particularly the Hajj rite, you have to take it after me. Do it the way I did mine, so that when you do it that way, you'll be rewarded. So if anybody goes to Hajj now and he remembers that there are two calls, like the scholars will say, a call emanating from Ibrahim and another call emanating from Shaitan. The call emanating from Ibrahim is the call that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam made when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him to build Kaaba. And when he made that call, he was the first person to worship Allah in the house. And he practicalized the way we need to worship. Allah says, وَطَهِّرْ بَيْتِيَ لِلطَّائِفِينَ, and cleanse my house for the ta'ifin, those who perform tawaf, those who circumambulate around the house, wala akifin, and those who perform itikaf in the house, warukka'i sujud, and those who always observe salat there by standing and by prostrating. So if that is the instruction given to Ibrahim, then we have to take after him what he did. وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. In another verse, Allah says, you should observe Nawafil at the position of Ibrahim, which is not Maqam Ibrahim. So these are what Ibrahim did. And not only Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, with his family, Hajar, his wife, and Ismail, his son. That is the issue of the Safa and Marwa. So if you remember all this, you remember the Munah decision that happened when Ibrahim was to stone the devil, you did the same thing. Then let me give you a very good example about the Munah. Now you will understand enough Murakaba. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and his child Ismail stoned Shaitan in Munah. You were supposed to do that 3 consecutive days. You have to do the same thing Ibrahim did. But some people will say, from what we heard, they will go the first day, because the first day stoning is early in the morning, before the noon. But the second day stoning, you have to go after noon, not before the noon. The third day stoning, you also have to go after noon and not just before the noon. So what people did or normally do is that on the first day they will go for the stoning before the noon, and then they will say the second day also they will go before the noon. The third day they are expected to go afternoon, they will go before the noon, because they say no, they are afraid, they don't want the sun, they are afraid of the sun of Saudi Arabia,
of the heat of the sun. And I've even also heard that
the second thing they do, the second thing they always do is some of them will go the first day and they will calculate all the stones, the pebbles, the number of the pebbles together, and do the stoning just once. Is that the way Ibrahim did his own? No. So if you hearken, if you respond to the call of Ibrahim or the call of Allah through Ibrahim, you will not do that. That is God consciousness. So when you ask yourself, why did I come to Hajj? So you will definitely do it the right way.
It seems we have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, my name is Alfred. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay, Alfred calling from Port Harcourt. Okay. All right. You want to ask a question or you want to make a contribution?
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I understand that we are all human beings.
Okay.
We are Muslim or Christian.
Yes.
We are all human beings. And I believe we have one singular goal. And the singular goal is worshiping the Almighty God.
Yes.
Despite him, Allah, or anything. I worship God. And I believe at the end, we will be told the blessings from God.
Okay. Sorry, I can't hear you properly. Can you speak louder?
I said, why this discrimination from the Muslims to the Christians, and the Christians to the Muslims?
Okay.
You understand?
Okay, why is that discrimination?
Yes.
Okay.
Muslims and the Christians and the Muslims.
Okay.
And two, I only like in my home. But if we are Christians, we don't believe in getting so many wives. Why does the Muslims only get his wives?
Okay.
What's the
Okay, so your two questions is that why is there discrimination between Christian and Muslims? Why we worship the same? Why we worship God? And then why do Muslims take so many wives? Okay. Thank you very much, Alfred. Yes, I think we start to answer your question now. Yes, he admitted that he believes the purpose of creation or the purpose of why we exist is to worship Allah, and I think Allah has even told us that in the Quran. But he is asking that why is the discrimination, and then why do Muslims take too many wives?
When we talk about discrimination in the heavenly religion, we need to ask the scholars, and this is where the issue is. We followers need to put our leaders into question. We need to put them on what is known as hot seat, because if we are misled by them on the day of judgment, we don't have the opportunity to come back
to come and
rectify our problems. So it's not possible. So the best way is to put them on the hot seat here. We need to bring those scholars. It's not a matter of fighting. So whatever they teach us, let them come and prove it.
Let them give us
evidences. But what in Islam, I'm sorry to say this, in Islam you will never see an Islamic scholar saying anything and go scot-free, because we have standard, and those standards are there. They are immune. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Taraktu fikum amrayn." I've left two things for you. Ma lan tadillu ma tamassaktum bihima. You will never go astray in as much as you hold on to these two things. And he said, Kitabullah wa sunnati. The first thing I left is the book of Allah. And the second thing is the way I put that book into practice, which is also documented after him. When he was alive, he did not allow them to document his own way of interpretation. They all memorized it. He said, because at that time the Quran was being documented, so he didn't want a confusion between the two documentations. But when immediately he died, that was the end of the revelation. So the Quran has been compiled. Okay, now people who memorize the hadith were called upon, so the hadith was also documented. So there were two different between the two. So the hadith is the way he puts those knowledge of the Quran into practice. And that is what guides Muslims today. If any scholar, an Islamic scholar, says anything,
he needs to bring his evidence.
Somebody will just ask him, where is the evidence from the first one, which is the book of Allah, and where is the evidence from the hadith of the Prophet. So we also expect the same thing of our fellow brothers, the Christians, Jew, or whatever you believe in. Ask the scholars question. You said so and so. Where is the evidence? Let us see the evidence.
In the holy book. Yes.
In the book
that you believe.
This is what you said we should believe. You said, okay, God is more than one. Show us the evidence in the book. We want to see it. And immediately an evidence is shown, you verify the evidence. You must verify it. Is it out of man's made or is directly from God?
I think I'll take this other call. Hello.
We still have one more question left.
Yes, I know we do. Hello, salam alaikum. What's your name and where are you calling from? Your name is what? Abdul Fatai. I couldn't get your other name. Olorun Lambe. Okay, from where? From Port Harcourt as well. Okay, please proceed with your contribution or question. Okay, please go ahead. Hello, we can hear you. Please go ahead with your question. Hello, I can hear you. Sorry, it doesn't seem to be clear. What? Please, can you speak a little louder? What is the meaning of Islamic? Okay, that's your question. What's the meaning of Islamic? Oh, okay. Is that all? What is the meaning of Allahu Akbar? Okay, those two questions. Okay. Thank you. Okay, you want to also know the meaning of Subhanallah wa bihamdi. You want to know the meaning of Allahu Akbar, and you want to know the meaning of Islamic. All right. Ustaz is here to answer those questions.
Islamic is an adjective coming from Islam.
Okay.
And then, when you say something is Islamic, it means that that thing follows the rules of Islam. Just as simple as that. If something is not Islamic, that means something does not follow the rules of Islam. Okay. And you don't need to do it.
Yes,
if you say Allahu Akbar, it means Allah is the greatest. He is the greatest. We have great men, but they are not the greatest. Also, Subhanallah, praise be to Allah. It's like giving praises to Allah.
Subhanallah,
praise be to Allah, the most high. Praise be to Allah, the most great.
The most great. Yes.
So that's the meaning of that.
Okay, so you want to answer the second question.
That's just a very small part of the whole. It's like saying, why do Christians believe in 3 gods? Why do they believe in 3 gods? So, but if I want to go into practical answers, I would say, which person among the prophets of God that you know marry only one wife? Except the one that did not marry.
Yes, Prophet Isa.
So we cannot use him as an example because he didn't marry at all. So we have to use those who married as examples. And that is why Ali Elijah Ezegubevich said, there is nobody that is a good Christian. And they asked him, what do you mean? He said, what I mean is that if a follower of Jesus Christ is a Christian, he said that there is no Christian. Because nobody can live the way Prophet lived his life. Then you are not a good one. Nobody can live the way he lived his life. Nobody can live the way he lived his life. He had no wife, so no children. So you also live that way because you are not expected to live that way. You are not expected to live that way. So those who impose on themselves that they want to live that way, they were not instructed. They were not instructed to live that way. They just chose to. And then naturally you cannot. So, and the meaning of that is that if the whole world decide today that they want to live by that way, then that's the end of life. So we are not expected to live that way, and that's why we are created the way we are created. That we should not live that way.
And then to follow it up, there is even a legislation of Allah, and there is a lot of wisdom.
Yes.
So
we cannot emulate him when it comes to the issue of matrimony. He has no wife, no children. We have to emulate the rest of the prophets. And that's why the Islamic belief about him that he's coming back to get married seems more reasonable and logical.
Let me just take this call quickly and then we'll proceed with that question. Hello? 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 Assalamu alaikum. Good. Okay, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Salis Abdul Wahab. I am calling from Kano.
Brother Salis Abdul Wahab calling from Kano. Yes, what's your contribution and what or your question? Please, what's your okay?
If I am doing fasting, I can use my clean to brush my teeth.
Okay, your question is if you are fasting, can you brush your teeth with toothpaste?
Yes, madam.
Okay,
Yes.
Jazakumullah khairan. Yes, Ustaz, can Brother Salis brush his teeth with toothpaste?
You are allowed to brush with whatever we use to change the bad odor of our mouth.
Whether it is toothpaste
if your breath is not good, you have the right to change it with whatever is used for that. I'm very sure you can't change your breath with food. You can't eat as if so you have to use whatever is meant for that. You are allowed. Yes,
continuing on Alfred's question on the reasons why Muslims take care. He said many wives. I think there is a limit to the number.
I've answered that. It's just an aspect of a whole.
And then I always want people to even see the hikmah behind, like the wisdom. You know, a lot of people, we have widows amongst us, you have divorcees, you have, even apart from that,
Those
women are more than men.
Those are just apologetical answers to the questions. As far as Islam is concerned, that is the rule. If you also have the ability, there are conditions. It's just an aspect of the whole. So we need to understand where we take the rules and why we take the rules from there. And that's why I said put everything to question.
Okay. We have another caller on the line. Hello, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
What's your name, sir, and where are you calling from?
My name is Abdul Rashid. I'm calling from.
Abdul Rashid calling from. Hello, Malam Abdul Rashid, where are you calling from? From Ekiti State. Thank you for joining us this morning on Ramadan Diet. Yes, thank you for joining us. You have a question or a contribution? From Ekiti State. Please turn down the volume of your TV set, please.
I want Madam to just with that.
You want to? Okay.
On that question that that Madam has from Kano, I want Madam to repeat that answer for us. On that where you can brush
your teeth.
When you are fasting.
Okay. Okay, Brother Broshit from Ekiti wants you to explain further on brushing of the teeth during Ramadan.
Yes, we have a hadith of Hussein that says that Ra'aytu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yatasawwaq ma la usi yatasawwaq wa sayyid. There are many a time the Prophet sallallahu would be brushing his teeth while he was fasting. So when we talk about changing the odor of your mouth, the stick which we use, the swak. Swak is Arabic, so
yes.
So which we use in brushing the teeth contains more fluoride than the laboratory made fluoride. They contain more fluoride
than the toothpaste.
Yeah. So you're talking about don't use toothpaste because it contains,
of the taste.
What does it contain? That those sticks do not. There are so many of them locally. I don't know if I can mention
even the local ones. They've got, some have this very strong taste.
That's what I'm saying. They contain more fluoride than any of those ones. And I always ask this question: which is easier? Which method is easier, to swallow water during ablution or to swallow water when you are brushing? Which one is more comfortable? Because this one smells bad when you are brushing your teeth. The water that comes out smells bad. But when you are performing ablution, it's the normal water, natural water. So if Allah were to be like human, then Allah would have said, during ablution, don't rinse your mouth in fast. So that's just the question. We need to know that the Prophet encourages that we should change the odor, the breath coming out of our mouth if it's bad. And then the swak, the using of the swak is the sunnah of the Prophet whenever he wants to observe salat. Not even talking about changing the breath. If your breath sounds well, it smells well, but when you want to observe salat, you are also expected to say, I will have instructed my ummah to take swak, but because I don't want to put burden on them. Laula and ashuka ala ummati la amartum biswak in the holy salat.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. We have been talking about al-muraqabah this morning as a means of attaining good consciousness. Our theme in living Ramadan on Ramadan Diet this year has been towards righteousness, and today we have learned about al-muraqabah. Allah is our Raqib, He is the ever watchful. In everything we do, we should be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's always watchful over us and He's going to call us into account. This is where we are going to end this segment, living in Ramadan, this morning. Ustaz, Jazakumullah khairan for sharing your knowledge with us. May Allah make it beneficial to you as well as us, and may Allah find us on the day of Qiyam. We just pray may Allah not call us to account, because I don't know how anybody can escape that. But may Allah make it easy for us to imbibe what we have learned this morning. Jazakumullah khairan. So now we are going to go on a short break, and then when we return, we'll take wise ladies, inshallah.
Buy all your home and office needs online and get it delivered to your doorstep within 24 hours. Kara.com.ng is your surest store for home appliances, inverters, generators, laptops, phones, and computers. Order now at www.kara.com.ng or call 0704 491 3736. Kara.com.ng. Online shopping redefined. Do you want to remain relevant and sustain the growth of your business using ultra-modern machines for improved productivity? Well, look no further, because YKM Products Limited has in stock various industrial machines to help you achieve your business objectives. Our machines are of top quality standard with 6-month warranty on mechanical parts and technical support. Contact us today at YKM Products Limited, Head Office 42 Old Yaba Road, Adekunle Bus Stop, Ebute Metta, Lagos. Showroom 2-4 Ganiu Abiodun Close, Abdua Bus Stop, Alagbado, Lagos. Telephone 0803 321 6511 0805 545 0066. YKM Products Limited, home of industrial machines.